Hello and welcome everyone to State of Our Workforce. My name is Josh Enoch. I am the communications manager here at the National Fund for Workforce Solutions. Usually I am the man behind the scenes here on State of Our Workforce, but today I will be your host for a mini episode. And I'm so happy to be joined by the woman who makes it all happen, Michelle Wilson. How are you, Michelle?
I'm good, Josh E. How are you? Happy Wednesday.
Yes, happy Wednesday indeed, and I'm doing well. It is different being on this side of the screen, but I'm excited to be here as your humble host today.
Yes.
Uh, our last episode of State of Our Workforce was in December, and the team here at the National Fund has spent January in hibernation preparing to launch a new year on the podcast. And so, can you tell us a little bit about what to expect on State of Our Workforce this year?
Yeah, we're really excited. This year we've decided to series called The Anthropology of Work. And I'm sure you're going to ask me, what does all that mean? But yes, anthropology of work is the thing that we're doing. So I'll go ahead and let you ask me like what that means.
Yeah. Well, what is the anthropology of work, and what inspired you to explore the field of workforce development through this lens? It sounds very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I think if you understand anthropology as the study of human beings, then it tracks to think about how we understand humans at work and all of it and all the complexities that surround it. And the anthropology of work is not new; it is a body of work in the anthropology. But as we've been talking about our work at the National Fund, particularly around themes that we've been lifting up around occupational segregation and how we address it, because occupational segregation is such a big thing to consider. And so how do we as workforce practitioners break it down in ways that we can disrupt the drivers of that, right? So looking at it through that lens, it's just and we did that towards the last half of 2023. It just made sense to continue the conversation by trying to dissect various pieces of work and really looking at how humans show up in this space, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And so, what are some of the key themes and topics within the anthropology of work that you're particularly excited to explore or shed light on
Yeah.
coming up?
I mean, so broadly, obviously, we want to understand what we need as workers in the workplace, but it's also about the discovery of what needs to change in order to be effective in the future. And um, so broad topics that we want to dive deep into around various aspects of our work. So it's like historical perspective of work, like about some of the guests we're going to have on are the topics that we're going to address over the coming year. But it's really just a dissection of workforce topics and really trying to turn it or just twist and turn it in ways and look at it in a manner that maybe sparks different thinking.
And different thinking would likely mean different perspectives. So, who do we have lined up this year? Who are the types of folks that are going to be sharing their expertise and really helping us to delve into and better understand the anthropology of work?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we all have conversations with folks outside of the workforce field about our work, and we see intersections around that. It's like, so how do we bring that? How can we be more intentional about bringing in voices that are not in the everyday space of workforce, and pairing them up with voices that are currently in the space of workforce. So it's really like playing with that and seeing how we can have just like some broader conversation. So I'm super excited about that. So we're starting off our Anthropology of Work series with a look back on historical perspectives and have been informed by whom and for whom, with an eye towards shifts that we need to consider, particularly around narrative change. And so we're excited about doing this in February because it will be through the lens of our Black History Month edition. And next month, we'll have an equally engaging discussion on women in the workplace for Women's History Month. Do you want me now to say who's going to be around, or are you going to ask me about that?
No, if you want to share our upcoming guests for the official kickoff later this month, I'm happy for you to do that.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
no, we're super excited to have Dr. Angela Jackson, are familiar with her in the workforce field. She's the founder of Future Forward. She will be in conversation with us along with Dr. Rachel Watkins she's at American University. And again, it's really playing with how we look at the historical role of research and workforce development and what future work. So we're bringing in a voice that's outside of workforce development, but looks at labor and her work as an anthropologist, and having that conversation with Dr. Angela Jackson, who is actively doing work in the field and thinking about what types of research we should be doing in the future. So I think it's going to be a really engaging discussion to have these two sisters on the call and talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think that it's going to be an excellent way to kick off the series, and also to somewhat ground folks into the types of conversations that we're going to be having throughout the year. So I'm really excited for it. And so, as we look ahead to the year, how do you see the thematic shift here of focusing on the anthropology of work? How does that help broaden the conversations that we're having in workforce development, and, you know, push forward and create more equitable workforce opportunities, break down barriers, addressing systems that are, holding folks back, and kind of holding in place the stasis that we often see in our workforce?
Yeah, again, so my hope is that by creating space to dissect specific topics that are so germane to our work in advancing workforce equity, if it helps us to enhance or expand our current thinking around what can be in the future, that really is the goal. And what we are trying to do is just create conversation and maybe have, hopefully, the hope is that folks will go in and go deeper in their own spaces around some of these topics, and share with us what they think about it as well too. So I guess the long answer to that is that I hope folks find these conversations inspirational to their thinking in some way, shape, or form, by listening to these subject matter experts share their perspectives.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited for the year ahead. I hope
Me
our listeners
too.
are excited for the year ahead. And I want to thank you so much for jumping on and doing this mini episode. For everybody else here, we will be hosting our first live episode of State of Our Workforce in 2024 on LinkedIn in a couple of weeks on February 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern. As Michelle said, we're really excited to be joined by Dr. Angela Jackson, the founder of Future Forward, and Dr. Rachel Watkins, a professor of anthropology at American University, for a conversation where the those three will look at the historical role of research and workforce development and explore what it means for the future of our work. We really hope to see you there, and Michelle and I will be there, and we hope you join us too. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today and listening, and we hope to see you in 20 days.
Thank you, Joshi.
Thanks.